आधुनिक सुश्रुत, दूरबीन से दूर दृष्टि. The knowledge and ability to be of use to others, to help mankind in many ways, fills the soul with noble confidence, almost religious dignity. A good surgeon does not merely concentrate on technical skill, but also on the rightness of what he is doing. At a given instant, everything he knows suddenly becomes important to the solution of the problem. He cannot choose to do it an hour later or the day after, nor can he go to the library to look up the answer. The surgeon will agree with the author who says, a blank piece of paper is God's way of telling us how hard it is to be God. Yet, against all odds, against all logic, he still hopes. For when he chooses hope, anything's possible. Hope in ability is like praying for rain, but faith in doing good in the world is like sharing an umbrella. Dr. Shailesh Puntambekar is recognized as an expert in laparoscopic pelvic surgery and gynecological cancer surgery in the world. He has developed a method of cervix surgery known world over as the Pune technique. His lectures on pelvic anatomy have been widely acknowledged for its newer concepts. He is the medical director of Galaxy Care Laparoscopy Institute, a center for advanced laparoscopy and robotic surgery in Pune since 2005. Post-graduating from KEM Hospital, Pune, he did his oncology training in Tata and Sassoon hospitals. The credit for all Dr. Shailesh Puntambekar's recognitions goes to his dedication, knowledge, and immense experience. He is a faculty at the American Association of Gynecological Laparoscopy and member of their oncology committee and won their Golden Telescope Award for the best video for 4 times. He is the first robotic oncosurgeon of India and has performed more than 400 robotic surgeries. The quintessential teacher, Shailesh, believes in sharing the knowledge with others and thus has many publications. Dr. Puntambekar's international scientific publications include the largest series of laparoscopic gynecological surgery. He has been invited to perform live surgical workshops in UK, Europe, Asia, Africa, and Australia. Dr. Shailesh Puntambekar and his team performed the first uterine transplant in India and the world's first laparoscopic at Galaxy Care Laparoscopy Institute, Pune. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting a daring laparoscopic oncosurgeon visionary who entered the world of gynecology by letting his creativity give a woman a chance at creation in this segment of Anant Drishti, truly an adhunik shushruत, दूरबीन से दूर दृष्टि.
At the outset, it's an honor and a pleasure to be there on a Saturday morning with Rotarians and to share the experience of what is achievable staying in India, working in India. And this is a story of Make in India, Made in India, and popularized worldwide. So in the next 30 minutes or so, I will take you through this fascinating journey of what, can I have the AV please? The fascinating journey of 2 types of surgery. One, which is called as the robotic surgery, and 2, we have come a long way. It's been a long way since the time, and we need to continue to do an update. So you must have heard what is the past. The past was a very big open surgery. There was a traditional surgery with bleeding, and then we were told, when I was a surgeon in making, I was told big surgeons make big incisions. Today, we are told big surgeons make no incisions. And that is the most important thing. So with the various disadvantages from various surgery, necessity became the mother of invention. If you ask the humankind, what is your goal? They would say immortality. Immortality is impossible to achieve. Second thing, scarless surgery. Is it possible? Of course it is possible. And then with the magnification and with lot of magnification, right from the day Sushruta, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether you know, but he was the first surgeon of the world. And then, over a period of years, we lost it. The first surgeon in the world taught the world, and in the next few years, we as Indians bowed down to the world, trying to learn from the whites, because we always thought that the whites were right. This is the time to give back. In the last 10 years, we have been visited by more whites than anywhere, and this is the time that every time that people come to learn, I feel that we owe it to Sushrata because we are giving it back to the world. And that is the robotic surgery which came into the view, and with this robotic surgery changed everything, right from doing the surgery with precision. Now if you remember long good old days when you had a Premier Padmini, you went and you said, well, if I want to buy a Premier Padmini, you would pray to the God that the engine has to be good. I don't know how many of those generation. Let my engine be good and let the car be good. Today when you buy any car, you are assured that the car is going to be perfect. Have we achieved this kind of success in healthcare? That is what the question I ask. And the question is, you don't know whether you're going to get the best surgery, and therefore probably the robo comes in. So there are 4 types of surgeons in the world. Type 1 surgeon is extremely intelligent but lazy. Do you know what they do? They write books. They don't do much. The second type of surgeons are intelligent and dynamic, and they are the people who do good surgery. The third type of surgeons are very, very dumb and docile. They are no harm to the society. But there are some kind of category 4 surgeons where we call as dumb and absolutely enthusiastic, which is very dangerous to the society, not doing the correct jobs. And that is the reason when you don't have the skills, this is the kind of surgery that you can do with the robot, and you can do this completely. This is a robot which is developed by the Britishers. This is the robot which we installed on 15th of August. The reason being, the relationship between the surgeon and the robot is a master and slave relationship. And if you remember, we were ruled for 180 years by the Britishers. So when this robot was developed, and this was installed for the first time in the world in India, in Pune. Who was the master? Indian. Who was the slave? The British. And that is the reason I did my first surgery on 15th August 2019. And these are the various advantages which I will not take you through this. But the most important thing is when you do the robotic surgery, you can do surgery at one time and do a lot of change. So progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. And now I come to the main topic. Uterine transplant. Something unimagined, something which we don't know. This is a woman who came to me with a dream of wanting to become a mother. She didn't have a uterus. And in my heat of moment in 2016, I told her, I will give you a child from your own womb. And on the October 2018, when she got the first child, I thought a promise was delivered. A promise that I gave a mother to become a mother and having her own child was delivered. And on 18th of October 2018, we got the first child. So this was a journey which changed considerably. This was a lady who had no uterus. This was a lady who didn't menstruate for any time of her life that she was born. Every woman who's sitting in the audience probably feels a woman when she menstruates at certain age and has a child at certain age. The question is, what happens to the women who do not have the uterus, who have been denied the opportunity to become a mother? And this is what, at the stroke of midnight, on 18th of October, at 2:30 a.m., we delivered India's first transplanted and Asia's first and world's 12th baby. And this is what happened on 18th of October 2018. So a dream which I felt, and I always say, what is a goal? Goal is a dream with a timeline. I dreamt of delivering a child out of a transplanted uterus. This was my dream. I gave it a timeline in the next 2 years. That is called as goal. And this was a dream that we achieved. So her name has been Radha. The first child was born in the world out of a transplanted uterus. And this uterus was taken from the mother of the woman who was born without the child. So one uterus, 2 births. Her daughter and granddaughter, same home, same uterus. A miracle that was to be. In 2014, the first child was born in Sweden, and 2018, the child was named Vincent because it was born, and we named the child Radha because this lady came from Gujarat. So Radha is the first one in Asia Pacific and the 12th one which was born here. And this is a part of the history at 2:30 a.m. on 18th of October when the child was, can we have the volume please? So this is the time when the child was, this is just to give you what happened. 2 minutes we were into the area. This was a uterus of a mother, and you see that it is nothing to look at that. But when the baby comes out, you will watch. When the baby comes out, we were all tense because she was being delivered prematurely because the uterus could not hold the baby for a very, very long time. And this is the baby which is coming out. And this is the time when the baby cried. Every surgeon in the operation theatre had tears in their life. And you know why? Because when we do a kidney transplant, when we do a liver transplant, when we do a heart transplant, we give life to an ailing patient, life to a patient who is dying. When we got a baby out of the transplanted uterus, we created a life out of a transplanted organ. It's huge. From the implication of giving life to somebody to producing a life out of somebody was something big, and this is the reason. So 9 babies had been born in Sweden and 2 in USA, and we were the first one. And the most important thing is we removed the uterus through laparoscopy. So this was the first child, and when it was 18 to 20 weeks, and when we saw the baby waving to us, that is when she became pregnant. That was the time when we realized that our efforts were good. We delivered the baby through the cesarean section. Today she has completed 1 month and 6. Ladies and gentlemen, few can realize the extent of field of infertility. You know there are many infertility centers in the world and all around in India also. But they address the problems when the lady's ovaries or tubes are not functioning. What happens to those who do not have the uterus or whose uterus is, and what happens?
एक्सीडेंट में प्रिया का गर्भाशय फट गया था, उसमें सेप्टिक हो गया था। शरीर में जहर न फैले इसलिए डॉक्टर को उसका गर्भाशय और ओवरीज को निकालना पड़ा। इसकी वजह से अब प्रिया कभी मां नहीं बन सकेगी। मॉडर्न से मॉडर्न लेटेस्ट टेक्नोलॉजी भी अब उसके काम नहीं आएगी।
Prem Chopra didn't know that there existed a technology. So modern technology made it possible after the picture was born. So these are the ladies whose uterus have been removed or who have been born without the uterus. And the extent of this is 1 in 5,000 females who are born are not having the uterus, and therefore the other option to this is surrogacy, which is one of the things which are accepted. The surrogacy has its own problems. You know the sad stories of surrogate mothers, and of course you must have read about the various celebrities who have gone through the surrogacy area and is not accepted much by the society. So what does uterine transplant do? When you do and adopt a child, you become a legal mother. When you become surrogacy, then you become a legal and biological mother. When you do uterine transplant, you become legal, you become biological, and the gestational mother. The wholesome experience of going through pregnancy. And that is the reason why uterine transplant is done worldwide. So the implication of going from an organ that saves life for the organ. So this was a guy who did the first transplant, and he did it in 2012 and delivered the first one. And when I heard his lecture, the big question, being Indian, came to my mind: why, if I have to donate my organ, why do I have to get a big incision and take it out? Why can't I take the organ out through the keyhole? And that is the reason and why it cannot be done in India. So we decided that we will have a girl who is born without the uterus. We will take out the eggs from this lady. We will select her mother whose uterus is intact. So this is how you take out the eggs. Then we transplant the uterus from the mother. At the age of 50, the uterus is transplanted, then push the embryo, and at that, after 8 or 9 months, you will get a baby, and once the baby is born, the uterus can be taken out. So this was our plan. And to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is a story of absolute, when you think and when you feel that something should be done from the depth of the heart. This is what Shah Rukh Khan said, and this is what we experience in our life.
कहते हैं अगर किसी चीज को दिल से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात उसे तुमसे मिलाने की कोशिश में लग जाती है.
When the whole India decided not to give permission for doing a uterine transplant because this is a non-vital organ, a 14-hour meeting with the then former Chief Minister and the Health Minister, when all the bureaucrats were against it, at 10 o'clock in the night, after a 14 hours of marathon meeting, the Maharashtra Chief Minister decided, let's do it. And the question is that we did. But to overcome, we have this habit of always bashing the politician. I didn't know him. The question was asked in the meeting that if at all you want to do a uterine transplant, it should be done in Bombay, it should be done in Delhi, it should be done in Bangalore. Pune? Who knows Pune? And that was the key. They got up and they said, geography doesn't matter, the intent matters, the reason that they want to do it matters, and that's how we got the permission. So our plan was to do this, and we did the transplant all through laparoscopically, but with this, we had 16 surgeons. And all these 16 surgeons were gathered. They are the leading surgeons and the physicians in their special capability, all private practitioners. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we have done so far 9 transplants. And how much is that cost to the patient? Not a single rupee. We have done this completely free. I have spent more than 2 crores from my pocket to do this. In India, the research is not always supported by the money, but the money doesn't matter. Your dreams matter. And I owe this to the team who believed in me when I decided to do this kind of job, not knowing whether there will be light at the end of the tunnel. They believed in me. For 2 years, we met at 8 o'clock in the morning, deciding how to do the transplant. And so far, in India, Maharashtra remains the only state which has been given permission. We are now the second most in the world. We have done 9 transplants so far, and all the time the donors have been their mothers. So you can see, I'm not going to take you through the details, but this is what made the difference to the world. I took out the uterus of the mother, not by open surgery, but for the first time through the keyhole surgery. So we have so successfully evolved into our 9 transplant. You have to remember, when you transplant the heart, when you transplant the kidney, when you transplant any organ, it remains inside the abdominal cavity. When you transplant the uterus, that's the only organ which gets out and is subjected to the atmosphere through the vagina. Everybody said India is a dirty country. Your transplant is never going to survive because of infection. So we had to be very diligent, and we had to use a lot of care to see to it. And this is the picture which was taken at 12 o'clock in the midnight. The first transplant, we did it on 17th of May 2017. It took us 9 hours. The second transplant, we did it on 18th, back to back, again 10 hours. And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, that's the time I realized what it takes to score a century. When you have the goal in front of you, not a single person of the team had anything but a cup of tea for the 20 hours that we worked tirelessly to achieve our dream. We always think that it is something which has happened overnight. Any kind of success is 1% of inspiration, and this is a true story of 99% perspiration that me and my team has put up to do this. So success speaks for itself. The moment the first transplant was done, our hyperactive press contacted the first guy who has done the transplant in Sweden, and he asked, and the Hindustan Times reporter, and of course, nobody is happy when an Indian does something. So the Swedish guy told the reporter, oh, these are like cowboy surgeons. They have come on a horse, they've come there, they take out the revolvers, they've shot somebody. That's how they've been done. When this was put up, the entire team, which with me, they said, why don't you answer this? Cowboy Surgeons of India, that was the headline. I told them that work will speak, words will only hamper our reputation. 1 year down the line, when we delivered India's first and Asia's first, the same newspaper had said, it's a girl and 600 waiting with a successful delivery. A full U-turn, plain words, no criticism, just work tirelessly and it works. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, before we went and did the first transplant was done in Sweden. The second one was done in the United States. Out of the 9 that they did in Sweden, the first 4 were unsuccessful. They had to be taken out in Sweden. In the United States, out of the 5 that they did, the 3 were taken out. I can proudly say, India remains the only country, all 9 done, all successful, not a single failure. And this is all in first attempt. And therefore we have started our dedicated OPD now. Galaxy Care has started a dedicated OPD. And this is what I felt the other day.
फर्ज और फर्जी में बस एक मात्रा का अंतर होता है. अगर मैं अपने देश, अपने भाइयों के लिए अब नहीं लड़ा, तो मैं अपनी नजरों में फर्जी बन के रह जाऊंगा.
This is what I felt when we realized that we were the first in the world to have everything which was successful. And our success was celebrated in the World Congress on 18th of October when the baby was born on 2018. 6th of November was a World Congress. 5,000 delegates were going to attend. They changed the scientific program at the last moment. And then they had this.
But we jumped straight to the future. And this is the last step of our evolution, but for the moment, because evolution is temporary, because always changes. In 2017, my very good friend Shailesh Puntambekar translated this creative surgery under the eye of laparoscopic approach. And so the first uterine transplant with the laparoscopic approach, the minimal invasive procedure proposed by Henry Rich in the 80s, was performed. This is the further evolution. The 18th of October, so a few days ago, the first baby was born from a laparoscopic transplant. Her name is Radha. Look at her face. It seems an alien.
So when he did this, an American guy talking about India, when everybody said, this is what I felt.
देखो, पहली बार किसी गोरे को इंडिया का तिरंगा लहराते हुए देखा.
So this is what we always feel as surgeons, because this is what we then do this for getting success. No surgeon gets up in the morning and decides, I want to become popular. It is just that when success comes, everybody forgets how much of efforts have gone behind trying to reach to this success. This is a story of inspiration. This is a story where 18 doctors believed in me when I had nothing to show. This is a story. When you do a kidney transplant, when you do a heart transplant, the organs start functioning the next day. Here, after doing a uterine transplant, for 6 months the lady has to get menses, and after that it's an 8 months pregnancy. We just heard a lecture before that. What is leadership? 17 months to get the first success. The most difficult 17 months of my life, when the world kept on asking, you've done the transplant, where is the result? The team's morale was completely down when for the first time we transferred the baby, we had an abortion. This is the time I realized that as a leader, every time you don't have to lead from the front, I had to go behind their back and push them to such an extent till we got the success. So that is the true leadership that we had to go through. And this is what 2018 December, if you put any time in Google, India's 2 biggest achievement was putting up a satellite, Google says, and the second biggest achievement was uterine transplant, which made a huge difference to the world laparoscopically. So we nailed it with sheer hard work. It is not something which has happened with fluke. The gynecologist or anyone who is sitting in the audience, this is not a lecture for doctors. This is a lecture where you need to understand that staying in India, trying to do something in India involves a lot of bureaucratic hurdles, a lot of monetary power, but where you are born doesn't matter. A few of you may be thinking, if I was born in New York, I would have done it better. If I was born in Manhattan, things would have been better. Today, geography doesn't matter. Dreams matter. This is where my true story is about the dreams. And you heard about the CHN. Everybody cannot go to CHN. Everybody, we all hail and we all clap for the people who go to the Himalayas because they are the Sherpas. Getting to the Everest is the biggest thing any mountaineer can achieve. But not all of us can do this. But then, there is an Everest in everybody's career. There is an Everest in everybody's life. And what was it? Just go to this. So the road to the summit, the uterine transplant, was like climbing the Himalayas. So it begins with complete intensive training. You have to go train yourself. You have to be sure that you want to do something like this. And when you go to the summit, when the mountaineers try to go there, lucky zones have to be taking place, no break, no rest. And this is the most important thing. And just keep going. When the world is thinking that this is not going to be achieved, to scale the highest mountain for me, the scaling the highest mountain in your career is what you want to achieve. You need not be pushed. The vision will try and pull you. So fulfill your dreams, ladies and gentlemen. When the others say, you can't do it, my Everest, my summit was India's and Asia's first uterine transplant. Thank you, ladies.